Hi, I want to welcome everyone back to another episode of Soul Impact, How Music Saved Us. I'm your host, Wild Willie, and today I got with us Pete Turner. Pete, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and kind of what you got going on?
Yeah, thanks, Willie. And first off, thanks for having me on your show, man. I know what it means to put a show together and to do all the booking and the planning and the organizing and the editing. Oh my God, the pre-production, post, all of that is a lot of work. So thank you for doing it. Thank you for allowing me to be on your show and spending that time, that effort to host something like this. And also thanks to the audience for sitting there and listening to me. I used to be a spy. I worked in a lot of combat zones, primarily Iraq and Afghanistan, but a lot of different places. And my job was to go out off of the American camp or coalition camp, depending on where I was, and talk to the locals. That was the primary thing I did a lot of my professional career, sort of in my youth. I did it in my 40s, and then I transitioned over to the podcast side, and primarily because I couldn't, nobody would hire me. I couldn't find a job, and so I'm like, well, I'll invent my own job, and then podcasting ultimately took over that part of my life, and that is what I do professionally now. Also, I produce things because my show is amazing and it gives me incredible opportunities. I'm making movies now, and it's crazy to even say that because it's just such an impossible journey to go from the side of a mountain in Afghanistan, not showering for weeks at a time, to living in Southern California and working on these big projects.
That is awesome. So you're a veteran then?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
Thank you for your service.
thank you.
Um, so how'd you kind of get into it? I mean, like what I talk about on here, we talk about. I don't know if you had a chance to go back and watch any, but we
Hmm.
uh we go into them hard conversations. Like for me, my big impact was as a child I was abused, and then my first real bad breakup. I went to truck driving. I went 5 months without being home.
Yeah,
Because I felt like a drifter. I didn't have nowhere to go, so home was my semi for a while.
yeah.
So, uh, how exactly? And I know you said you couldn't find work, but how
Right.
exactly did you say, you know what, this is what I want to do? This is going to be my bread and butter. I mean, what gave you the idea?
A couple of different things were happening. One is I had all these amazing stories and I wanted to start to get them out. And, if you don't have a market, you really can't. This will sound negative, but it's just the honest truth. If you don't have a market, you can't write a book because if you do, no one's going to buy it and it becomes a vanity project. And that wasn't something I was interested in. And so I was like, I have to do something with all these stories. And I have a TV radio degree. And so I'm like, well, I should use that thing because I love doing that. And so that evolved over a couple of years into the podcast. So that was that. But there was no money there, right? Because you start out again, no market to sell things to. You don't just get to start making money. And so I had to go out and figure it out. And I didn't do this alone. My partner John and I founded our show together, but we just kept at it. And when I say we, really primarily I kept at it and kind of elbowed John out of the way. John and I still have a love affair. We're still great. He and I are wonderful friends. His wife is a lifelong friend as well. So there's no animosity there. But some things work for some people, some things don't work for others, and so the show just became slowly more and more mine. But that was a way I dealt with a lot of the things that I was dealing with. It was part therapy session, part storytelling time. And a lot of my job, right, running a podcast maybe you realize this, maybe you don't, but a lot of it is spy work. I build a network, and that's what my show is for me more than anything else. That's what's most valuable is I interact and get opportunities that I never would have otherwise, because I can meet anybody, and either whether it's by design or by happenstance, I meet the most amazing people, and they ask me for help. Hey, Pete, can you help me with this? Can you introduce me to somebody who does this? And I have this now I have a big, I wouldn't say it's a market, but I have a big network of people that I can lean on. And I wanted to say this too, trying to relate to where you're at. A lot of what I did when I was in combat was very solo. I'm with other people, but I'm not part of their group, right? So I'm an augmentee to some unit or whatever. And so for that little short time, I know them, but then they leave or I leave, and then I go to another area or someone else comes to my area. And so it's an isolating thing. And one of the things I realized was I had to start changing my life because I would hear the song Desperado and I would think, I am the desperado. Like there's nothing too cold, everything's transactional. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's not the way, like in this regard, Glenn Fry is singing to me, and I'm losing all my highs and lows. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to figure that out. And I would play that song on the guitar. I'm not a great guitarist, but I would play that song on the guitar. And that's when I realized, as I'm internalizing the song, uh, it, it meant more to me all of a sudden. And so to be on the road like you were, to be on the road like I was, yeah, you lose some of those highs and lows. And yeah, sure, it's cold outside in Wyoming this morning, but that doesn't matter. I'm just going to get back in my truck and go on about my business. And that is a way to lead a life, but it wasn't the way I needed to lead mine.
Oh, exactly. I mean, you hit on this cold way in Wyoming, and I'm going to get back in my truck. My very first load out by myself took me to Florida, so I was like, "Oh, I'm going to stop by the house. I'm going to grab me some warm clothes." And it's like, "Oh, you're going to be in Florida for a while." I was like, "All right, no need of needing jeans or anything." So I just, that's before they cracked down and truckers weren't allowed to wear flip flops and all that. And so they got a hold of me and someone got a dead load in, or not dead load, but someone had a family emergency, so they couldn't pick up a load that was a priority load. And they're like, "We need you in Salt Lake City, Utah in 4 days," which I said, okay. Well, little did I know, in Salt Lake City, Utah, they can get snow in August, okay?
Yeah.
So here I am in shorts, tank tops, and flip flops, get out in Salt Lake City, and there's 6 inches of snow in the ground.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I mean, the main reason I do this is like, music has always been that go-to. When I went through my divorce, I'm a DJ naturally. I own my own business. I run Backwoods Production, DJ and karaoke service, and sound company. I actually had ventured into that the last couple of years. And so I see a lot of talent. I really do. And I mean, the biggest thing I see as a sound guy is the people that don't believe in themselves. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this, is that the people that are struggling, whether it's mentally or just not believing in themselves, that their career, whether it's at the podcast or as an artist, whatever it is, um, there's hope.
Yeah.
I've interviewed one other podcast. I don't know if you heard of him, but Chad Winch. He's right here in Missouri too. He's a
Yeah.
big podcaster. He has a network called The Barn, and he was, and I tell, for me, my song, I listen to a song, and it's amazing how music works, because what you hear today is not necessarily the same message you're going to get out of the song 5 years down the road. Like, and I use the example of "What Hurts the Most" by Rascal Flatts. I've loved that song since the day I heard it. But when I went through my divorce, that song hit so much differently than it did when I first heard it,
Mm.
because I was living out what the song was talking about. And, and then I like, man, I have lost who I was in my divorce through my marriage. I mean, I did not have a good marriage, and I'm not dogging anybody. We both played our faults, but my marriage
Yeah.
was horrible, and I had lost myself. So it's gonna sound horrible, and I'm a hardcore country fan. I really am. And but Michael Jackson's songs, "Man in the Mirror," stuck out, and it's like, you know what? I don't like who I am. I don't know who I am. I've got to start with me. I've got to figure out who I am, and
Yeah.
that's what I did. I mean, so is there a song, and I know you said Desperado, but is there any other song that has just, when your times were hard and you felt like giving up, that song just pushed you through?
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of songs. Depends on the mood, the moment, the landscape. You know from driving a truck, the right song and the right hunk of highway is just gorgeous. And you drive through the Southwest. That's big, big, big sky country. And I don't mean like big sky like Montana, but I mean it's just enormous. And so New Mexico on I-10, you need the
Oh,
right kind of music to do that. So it really it's a big question. Is what was my mood? How was I suffering? Was I suffering at all? Was I in love or whatever it was? But I think probably my go-to is U2. Bono is he's 10 years older than me, so he's sort of like a big brother that goes through these things in life before I do, and his words mean something to me. And then there's depth in the words, and you can get lost in his lyric for a long time because there's a lot of depth. And then you add in the size of the music that they create in that band, and there's just for me a lot of resonance in my soul with what U2 does. And I there's a lot of other songs. There's plenty of songs that stick out. But if you're going to say like song for song, band for band, it's going to be U2. And you know, uh, right now the song that I'm thinking of, well, there's a couple Stuck in a Moment that you can't get out of, and there's just other songs that deal with things that I've dealt with. My brother took his own life. My dad and I didn't get along. A lot of this stuff is YouTube, early 2000s, and as I'm getting into that zone, I'm like, oh gosh, there's a guidebook here, in these incredible songs. But but in general, and I want to say this because I think it's important. Like sometimes, like you experience, and you were saying, like you experience a song, and it's a different song. I remember I broke up with this girl, or she broke up with me, or we just drifted apart, whatever it was. But I had a real heartache with this one, and all of a sudden there were two, three songs that I heard, and I'm like, I didn't realize this was a breakup song. I just liked this song before, and it really like hit my hit my soul in a way that I was like, I've got to figure this thing out, and get over this girl. But The Cure does that for me. And another song that I think is powerful is that song "Fast Car," and I've liked "Fast Car" since Tracy Chapman first sang it back in the '80s. But when you have a chance sometimes to run your song against somebody else, and you're like, "What do you think about Fast Car?" And I worked at a record store at the time, and you know how record people are. Like, we get deep into these things, and so we were talking about that song, and there's so many like crucial elements in that song where you end up you end up bringing a lot of yourself to that song and deciding what it means. And I would say if you are not mature enough to see that song is a love song, but there's a lot of pain in that love song, and you don't know who's saying which part or which line. Bono has he's a line like tough. You think you got the stuff. You're telling me and everyone you're hard in it. Well, who's saying that? Am I saying that to myself? Is the dad figure saying that to me? Is someone on the outside saying that to both of us? You don't know. And so the song can have depth and angles that you haven't considered until you're hurt enough or joyous enough to realize, hey, there's a lot more going on here if I just move this camera around and see what point of view this is. And I'll say one more thing about Fast Car. I'm trying to pull the lyric up here. At the end, she would say we, and in the last hunk, she changes it to I, and it becomes a different direction in how she deals with that. And I'm being not being very specific, but so she will talk about their problems, this couple's problems from a particular point of view, and then she separates it to where it's individual. And I think that really allows a lot of interpretation and some interesting opportunities to put more depth into that song. And it's the genius of Tracy Chapman. So anytime you think you figured a song out, that's a great song. Realize the songwriter's probably better at words than you are, and there's probably more depth there. And so dig in. And when you get uncomfortable with the fact that this isn't just about a boyfriend who was a bad boyfriend or a husband or whatever, trust me, there's several layers deeper that you can go, and it's not just this female anthem. This is a messed up lady who brings a lot of pain to the relationship she's had, and she is not innocent either. And when you open your eyes to that, you're like, oh my gosh, it's a really complex song. Those kind of things, I think, help you relate to the songwriter in a way that I think there's healing in that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I also am a part of another podcast called Love Noise, and we actually just kicked it off last night. It's me, a good friend of mine, Bubba Stars, and a guy named Boo Boo. Well, that's his stage name. And the thing about that is we bring on these new songs that these artists are struggling to put out there, or just are kind of down in their vault. And well, we kicked it off, and Bubba, he's an amazing artist. I don't know if you ever heard
Yeah.
of Bubba Starts, but he has a podcast too and I'm actually part of his network called
I'm
the
going to be
Scene
on the
Project.
show soon. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were talking about you this morning because
Oh, good.
I kind of bounced my stuff off of him, and I was like, look, he's actually the one who turned me on to the pod match, and
Yeah.
I was like,
Match is great, everybody.
oh yes, I'm not sponsored by them by any means,
No. Yeah.
but if you are an artist or a podcast or someone that wants to share your story, get on Podmatch. I mean, it is phenomenal. I mean, I've had it for 2 weeks, and now I'm booked out on interviews until the second week in October. Okay.
Dang, man. That's awesome.
You're my first one today. Well, I say today, but my episodes don't air the same day I record them.
Sure.
I mean, some people do that. I don't, because I like to go in and put my.
I get it.
I want to go in and put my intro, and I'm still trying to work on that right now. I just have my logo with some soft music, but I'm working on all that. I mean, and also a little bit about me. I'm a single parent. I have a daughter that'll be 3 this month. I'm renovating a house by myself, and it was in rough shape when I bought it. I work home health part-time. I DJ. I do my podcast. I mean, I don't have much time to sleep.
Yeah.
But
you need sleep. You got work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I stayed up till like 2:00 this morning.
Let me say this to you about your podcast, because I've got some experience in this. Everybody who wants to look up my show, you can. You're welcome to. It's up to you. But don't spend any time in post if you can possibly avoid it. Just put in the can the show that you want to have, and you want to slap a logo on the front of it, great. But don't. You're too busy to be messing around in post. Nobody cares. Like the front end, tail end of your show, automate that as much as you. I'm not big on automation. So if I'm saying automate that, and then just make it automatic, man, because you don't need to spend 2 minutes in post unless. Well, you will when you have enough of an audience that you can hire someone else to do that stuff for you. But don't spend your time doing mundane things, because you're doing bigger things. Being a DJ, that's bigger than sitting there for 3 hours trying to fix a show or to make a show be perfect or whatever. It's good enough doing this. Just capture these great conversations, and you're good at that. You're good at conversations.
I appreciate that. I actually last night I joined the Scene Project. They actually have a social media management. You can pay so much a month, and they'll actually. We use this thing called Podcast AI, and that's how we distribute all our music. They'll actually go right into however you're streaming, and they will take short clips from your videos. And I'm booked out on my socials for scheduled stuff to be posted to my Facebook for until October. I don't have to mess with it. I go in and share it maybe, but I mean, so
yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie, I have not had a chance to watch your podcast. I do apologize.
It's all right, man. It's all right. You don't have to apologize even.
But it's I am at that point thanks to Podmatch. I ain't gonna lie. I'm pretty good at reaching out. Like, I don't sleep very well, even when I'm not busy. So I'm always on TikTok. And actually, I have a couple interviewed. One of the interviews today, I found him on TikTok because I was scrolling through and happened to see his YouTube live or his TikTok live. And I was like, oh, I'm going to click in here. Well, then I just started, I don't know if you're familiar with TikTok any at all, but I just started chatting with him while he was live, and we hit it off. And I was like, dude, I have a podcast. I want to get you on there.
Yeah,
And he's like, heck yeah, let's do this. So, he
let's
was
do
supposed to
it.
be on previous, but I had some internet problems. So I went 2 weeks without internet. So,
Oh man, you got to get yourself some Starlink, brother.
no, it's horrible. I went to, I have fiber. I live in town, so I have fiber.
Oh, okay, okay,
So, but
yeah,
the other one we had, it was horrible. I mean, I
mm,
went 2 weeks. It storms and I would lose internet for fiber. I mean, so
yeah,
I switched over. So is how what have you dealt with in life, like anxiety, depression, um, just life in general? What have been the
I guess.
moments that has like bringing this back to music a little bit?
Hmm.
What has been the moments where you see not necessarily, and there's going to be lots of moments because the songs, like we said earlier. But what's one moment where it's like I'm at the end of the rope, and you don't have to go
Yeah.
extremely in detail if you don't want, but and just in that moment, a song come on, and it was what you needed at that moment, like your
Yeah, I
breaking
mean,
point, kind of.
there's a lot of those things. Well, first off, so I've got a pretty manageable but a pretty severe case of PTSD that I deal with all the time, and I'm always trying to figure out how to pull my levers and twist my knobs to get my head together, and my body's broken, and so I can't just work out. I've got to be very deliberate about how I work out, and then I get depressed and I quit working out. So I have like all these problems so like anybody, I've got problems. Financially, I'm not comfortable, but I'm not drowning anymore, right? Like I've got my head just above water. But give me 2 minutes and I'll be bloop, I'll be back underwater again, because once you've been through that cycle a couple of times, you're like, I'm not afraid of the drowning coming because I've dealt with it enough times that I know I'll get through it, but or not, but yeah, it makes me want to kill myself a lot of times. And basically every day I have some kind of suicidal ideation storm, and I kind of liken it to a migraine, right? Where I know it's coming and now it's more manageable, but I used to like dread the fact that it was going to come and that caused me problems. And so I got in front of that. But for me, I it's maybe less like a providential appearance of a song, but it's more like I've used music as a way to help heal myself on purpose. So one of the benefits I get with being a veteran, and we get so many of them, and it's wonderful, but I get very, very, very discounted concert tickets, or any kind of event tickets for a lot of different events, and so I get to go see a lot of things. I get to take friends with me, and I love going to symphonies or opera or whatever. And I love seeing orchestrated music played by an orchestra, and I just cannot get enough of it. You put a cellist in front of me with just a cello and me and some air, I'm gone. I completely leave that auditorium. I completely leave my pain riddled body that's wanting to die. I leave that I disappear and I go off on this music, these pieces that are 100, 200, 250 years old, or modern pieces. Again, just like trust the songwriter. And so when we'll say Chopin writes something, like a quartet or something like that, and it's played before me, it's it's transformative, and it kind of deflates my balloon a little bit so that I can manage. Everybody's got a balloon, and I like to keep mine not totally maxed out about the pop, right? So music helps me do that, and so I'll go see an orchestra. It's like putting your phone down and just calming down for a minute, right? But on steroids for me. And so if I go see some kind of uh, you know whether it's a quartet or some kind of musical piece performed, and it can be modern music too. I'm just saying that something as simple as a person on a piano accompanying with a cello. See you later. I'm leaving that building physically, metaphysically, right? I'm gone. And when I come back, my balloon is deflated. I'm a little better off. And look, we all are going to carry around things, right? So I'm not complaining that my back always hurts, or that my butt always hurts, or that my ankles always hurt, or my knees. I'm not complaining about that because everybody gets that. I'm 55. Some of my stuff hurts because I've done a lot of dumb things and jumped off stupid roofs and all that stuff. So it's not that. It's just the ability to manage that. And so, yes, for sure, there's been times when music has shown up at the right time. But more importantly, I use music. like medicine, like a
Oh,
meditation.
absolutely. I think it's right there with laughter. I really do.
Yeah,
To me, honestly, I think music is a little more important than laughter. Not that laughter ain't important, but sometimes you're not around people, and music, like you said, it pulls you from the garbage you're going through. I mean,
yeah,
I used to be the person. Now I can kind of, and it's hard with me being a single parent. Sometimes I don't have that chance to. She's two. She won't quite be three yet. She ain't quite three yet, but I don't have that chance to disengage
right.
because she don't understand, And so now I've kind of been working with her, and so it's like almost music puts myself in timeout, and that's what I tell my daughter. Like, Daddy is frustrated. I need some time out.
Right.
So she'll go to her room, she'll play in her toys, and I'll sit and listen to music. I mean, and even my daughter, and it, oh man, as a parent to see my daughter love music the way I have or I do,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be in the truck driving around, and I always have my radio on, and she's just in the back. And that's what this is about. This is about connecting people, not just
Yeah.
putting your story out there. As a DJ, I hear artists on here, and I was like, "Ooh, I like your song. I'm gonna play it at my next gig or whatever."
Yeah.
So we got to get where there's a united front. Almost like a giant network where we're able to help each other out. And there's going to be a song for me that if I heard it, whether from an artist or something you told me about, like, I ain't gonna lie, I've never been into the orchestra or any of that.
Yeah.
But after hearing you explain it, and it's not
Uh-huh.
because I've heard it, it was just I was taught it wasn't good music. And I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just
Yeah.
going by what I was taught.
Just you wait. Just
But
you wait, man. It's a
after you
journey.
hear and you talk about it, it kind of makes me want to be like, I want to go explore this, because I'm one of them. When I hear a song, I listen to it twice
Mm.
because I
Hmm.
listen to the rhythm and all that first, and then next I'll listen to the words
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because, and it almost sounds horrible, but if I don't get a good vibe from the rhythm, it's hard for me to listen to the lyrics
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
because
Plenty
the
of people are
music
rhythm
is
first, right? Yeah.
the music has to speak to you, and then the lyrics will, and that's the thing. Um, Bubba played one of his unreleased songs, and it was an upbeat song, and it had good upbeat, made you want to dance.
Hmm.
But when you listen to the story that was being told, it was a very touching story,
Mm.
but it was told in an upbeat way. So, I mean, that's the thing about artists or people like you that or me that are putting their every bit they got into something. I'm not getting paid for my podcast yet. Um, one day, I would love to be. Honestly, I would love to do this, and I love DJing. I do. I'm very passionate about it. But one
Yeah.
day, I would like to be able to hire someone and be like, "All right, go do this event. You have anything? Get a hold of me, and
Yeah.
me be able to focus on this." And I mean, not that my business is going to take second fold. I'm still going to prioritize it, market it, do all that stuff. But I want it to be able to be my nest egg.
Yeah.
Um, and I was kind of, I won't say pushed, but I was guided into this because I had talked to my friend Bubba, and I was like, dude, this is what I want to do. I want to, because I'm a people person. I really am. I love
Yeah.
meeting new people, talking to new people, just who I am.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah.
Willie, you have a really good style for it. You would be really good at it. I said, I just don't know how to do it. And
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
just do it. And I don't have very many episodes out. I think I'm at 8
Hey,
as
man.
we're as
That's,
us as
you're
us
doing it.
recording
Yeah.
as us recording, and I'm gonna say it that way because when it airs, there'll be a different number.
Yeah.
But right now, I only have 8 episodes out. I have 9 being released tonight because every episode is released on Thursdays.
I want you
Because
to take the word only and just when you talk about the things that you do and don't ever use them again.
why
Eight
is that?
episodes is well because 8 episodes is mega, man. It's big, right? When it's like, oh, I've just released 10 episodes. F that. How many people have done that ever in the history of all podcasting? Most of the people in the
Okay.
world have never done that, right? So you have to understand, like, if you get 10 people to pay attention to your show, you've carved 10 people out of what they were going to do and turned them into people that listen to you. And you're competing with Jason Bateman. You're competing with sport networks that are like, oh, podcasting is a thing. So there's all this competition. And I'm saying 10 because 10 people, that's incredible. The Globetrotters can put 2,000 people a night into a high school gym anywhere in the country, right? But it took them 80 years to build that brand and to maintain that brand. So whatever it is that you're doing, it's not just or only. It's an incredible thing to take the time to make these things. Sure, you're a growing show and you've got things to learn, and you're right, you got to learn the business, but that's all part of it, and that's part of learning what's valuable about what you do and how you exchange that value. I would rather you go on that journey of what is valuable. I mean, you're a good people person. Great. Make yourself go get uncomfortable with how big your network is going to be and how often you plug into it. And you say the words, yeah, I'm a DJ. I'm the best DJ in town, whatever it is, right? So that you get 10% more gigs. So you can hire another DJ and be like, hey, I'm double booked on Tuesday. Grab your stuff. You're making money while they're there. They're making money while they're there. You're satisfying clients. Man, that's a real business. That's a business that can be invest in a 401k for itself, at some point. If you get, I don't know, let's say you get 700 gigs a year DJing, right? You can't do all those. And you shouldn't. You're the guy who knows how to get gigs. You should focus on getting gigs and just cherry pick the ones you want to do and hire someone like, I'm going to stuff money in your pocket each night, man. I'm going to get you DJ gigs. And what young upstart guy is going to say no to that, right? They got to be good, but you'll train them because you know that business too. So you're not that far back from that. So don't ever just say just or only. You're doing things. You're making something that matters, and then you will do that until you don't. And if you don't, hey, no big deal. Look, you've been a truck driver, you've been a dad, you've been married, you've been all these things, and some of these things continue, some of these things end. That's life, man. That's life.
I never looked at it like that. That is actually very insightful. I mean, um, I appreciate that. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. You're doing incredible stuff, and if you ever want to chat with me, you always can. Anybody can. I don't necessarily care what you're doing. I just care that like you're doing it and it makes sense. Like if this becomes a hobby and you just do this thing just because it's fun, cool. But don't ever minimize the thing you're doing because most people can't do that. And here's how you tell: people are going to mock your show. People mock my show, right? I mean, okay, look, we'll talk about my show just for a second. Who cares? You guys listen or not? It's called the Break It Down Show. I've got over 2,000 episodes. I've talked to people who you would know their name right now if I said it, right? All kinds of people. And I am so fortunate. But I built it with my own bare hands, like you building your house. And so when someone comes along in 5 years when your house is way more nice than it was today, and they go, you bought a house, and they laugh at you, you're like, you know, you have any idea how ridiculous you are. You know what I've done to build
yeah,
this show, to build that house. And so when people mock it, that's just them. That's all them. That's all their insecurity, their fear, their inability to do what you've done. To get to 8, and you've already got some in the can. This one's in the can. Maybe I'll be 10. Maybe I'll be 12. Whatever it is, right? Man,
right.
that is already. You're in the 90th percentile. That sounds amazing, but most shows don't get out of someone's head. I've had 27 ideas this morning about shows that I'm going to do, but I only pull the trigger on one every day, and that's the Break It Down show.
Well, you brought up your show, and I was getting ready to stairway into that, so I'm kind of glad you did. Why don't you tell everybody about your show and kind of what you do on it?
Yeah, the Break It Down show is it's great. It's like a miracle. So I tell a lot of spy stories. I talk to other spies, but also I talk sports. I'm into baseball right now. I love baseball, so I've been doing that a lot on my show. But I have very, 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 very famous authors on my show, very famous actors, musicians. My musicians, check this out, Willie. My musicians have sold over 1.7 billion records. That
Nice.
have, it's amazing. Tony winners, Oscar winners, Nobel Peace Prize winners, Olympic gold medalists, world champions. I'm about to have one of the Gracies on my show. Like nobody wins more belts as a family than the Gracies. First off, there's a lot of them, but I get to do all this amazing stuff because I've done so many amazing things, and it's just this conveyor belt of amazingness that just continues to turn. And so people that like my show like the things that I like. Maybe we're talking sports, maybe we're talking geopolitics, maybe we're just getting to know somebody who else has a podcast. But it's an incredible thing. It's the Break It Down show. And if you guys are into it, you'll know right away. You'll listen. And I don't want you to know who everybody is. Sometimes I want you to lean in and go, wait, who's Pete talking to today? Because that's what happened. Like my friends, when they talk about my show, first off, they're like 2 years behind me. They're like, I saw your show the other day. This is a key lesson. Your friends and family aren't going to care about your show. They love you, but they're not going to care about your show. So don't look at your friends and family. You have to find the people like you in Argentina, in Canada, in New York City. There's people like you all over the place, but you've got to find them, right? But when they talk about my show, they're like, "Oh, when you had so and so on," I'm like, "Man, that was 2 years ago." But thanks for listening. And they're like, "Yeah, I try to listen all the time," but they only can do once every couple of years, right? And so audiences are amazing. They rotate around, and if you can catch anybody's attention, just think of like if you were to stand on the corner of a busy city corner, right? How many people could you turn into like rabid fans? One a day, zero a day. I don't know, but it's around that number. But if you were there
Uh,
for 100 days, all of a sudden there'd be more people who knew who you were, who cared what you had to say. That's what you're doing, just not in a physical sense. You're standing on a corner, you're saying the shit you're saying, and you're hoping that somebody will come by and go, "Oh yeah, Willie's cool." And that's what the Break It Down show is. It's my little corner. I talk about things that are exciting to me, and if you like those things, you're probably going to like my show.
well, see, and that's funny that you say that because everybody's like, I am lucky. Some of my family are very supportive
Good.
with my podcast and especially my business. But you hit on, I'm gonna call them haters, okay?
Yeah.
I have one. I have one. Anytime I post something about my business on Facebook, always a negative comment.
Yeah.
And through me, I have a speech impediment growing up. So that's something I had to overcome. Music
Yeah.
helped me overcome that. And sometimes if I talk too fast, it comes out and I have to slow myself down and, you know,
Yeah.
but that's the rawness of this. The rawness is also I've had episodes where my daughter has come out and I didn't catch the mute button in time and they hear, "Daddy, I need this."
Yeah.
And that's the rawness. I'm okay with the rawness.
Yeah.
You know,
You saw my cat walking around here somewhere. She's around here, maybe right behind me. But that's
yeah, it
reality.
was
Right?
right behind you a minute ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
it, but I mean that's the rawness of it.
Right.
I don't want people, and that's why I will not knock in the ones that do it, but I will never use one of them AI artificial backgrounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
I'm the same
one,
way. This is real. Look, everybody. That's real. That's real.
I
I'd
saw it
rather
moving
be
earlier.
real as a default. I'd rather be human as a default. Anybody
Now,
can do whatever they want automation wise. That's all great. But that's not me. And I'll say this about all of that. I will stick with being human because that's what I'm good at. That's what I'm
absolutely.
passionate about. I want to get to know you. I want to have your phone number. I want us to text. Yeah, maybe we don't text it. Maybe it doesn't take. But I want to plant these seeds with great relationships because these things enrich our lives. And this is one of the things that I figured out with my show is as long as I'm enriching people's lives and planting seeds of opportunity, things are good. A crop is going to come up, and it takes time to plow the whole field and turn another field over and let a field. But you always do that. You always cultivate this richness in your life, and other people will feel that richness in your life, and they'll have it as well. And people will say, "This is me talking about me," but people will say, "Pete, it's so great when you come visit. You're our favorite person to come sit down, and you're so interesting. You have something to say. It's not the same thing we hear on TV." And I'm like, "Well, I talk to new people all the time. I'm always plowing through all this stuff, and it makes me someone that people are excited to talk to. So even if they aren't into my show, man, I can't buy a meal in a lot of towns because I show up and they're like, 'Hey, I'm taking you out to dinner,' right?" Think about the value of that. Is that my show being successful, or is that me being, or is it both? Right? So Maybe they
I
don't listen.
think, sorry,
You know?
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think it's the passion. And everybody tells me that because I'm very passionate. Like I tell everybody, I'll bet my house on two things. I believe in my business wholeheartedly and I know
Hmm.
it's going to succeed. The
Yeah.
second
Yeah.
thing, I believe this podcast is going to succeed. I really do because I'm so passionate about it. And that's the thing. You've got to find, if you're going to step out on a limb and do something, you've got to
Yeah.
have the passion. You can't, you know,
Yeah. I
and
mean, you got to want to do what you're doing for
I've
sure.
seen them artists where they have, they want shows, but when they get shows, they cancel. I mean,
Yeah.
where you got to have the motivation too. And,
Yeah.
you know, that's the thing is you got to be real. You know, I could say, you know what? I have my life together. I am the prime example of what you should do. But if I did that, how am I gonna help? And this is how I look at it. How am I gonna help the single dad that's watching this? No, it's okay whether you're 35, just went through a divorce, or okay, I was 33 when I just went through my divorce,
Yeah.
with a daughter that wasn't even one, and step out and do something that you believe in.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's what I want to do is I want this to be able to reach some people,
Sure.
kids, you know, teenagers that are struggling and don't know, hey, I'm at the end of my rope, or I don't
Yeah.
know how to pursue this. Hey, I think I've seen this on this episode, or you know, being a resource.
Yeah.
I don't want this just to be a podcast that's out there. I want it to be a resource
Sure.
that say, hey,
Sure.
and I go by Wild Willie because I have a wild persona when I'm DJing. So I
Yeah.
just carried that over. But I
Yeah.
seen Willie and he was real. He showed that and he had, and I'm going to use you because we're talking, and I've seen what Pete had to say, and Pete's very wise and insightful. I can learn something from him. So that's why I want this to go is I want people to be able to say, you know, my ultimate goal is yes, I'm part of a network. I'm part of the Scene Project Network, and I'm grateful to be a part of that. I joined it 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, and my views have went up from 15 under 1,000 views to I checked it last night. I'm at up over 10,000 views.
That's awesome, man. Wow.
So in 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
as a podcaster and someone that's doing the podcasting, uh, find you a network. Find
Yeah.
you a network that's going to work with you and help not change your show. And you got to be careful because
Yeah.
I have talked to other networks and they're like, we'll bring you on, but you have to do your show this way.
Yeah.
Avoid those. And I'm not knocking
Yep.
the ones that join those.
No, it's a way to
It
do business. Yeah.
it works for others, but for me it didn't. And that's where
Yeah.
when I joined the Scene Projects, I was like, and before I joined, I was like, I want to be able to run Solo Impact the way I run it. I don't want to be able to be told how to run my show.
Right.
I want to be able to
Right.
be raw and be uncut, more or less. You know,
Yeah.
I stumble with words sometimes, and I went back and watched my first episode.
You should never
Oh
do
my
that.
goodness, being 8 episodes in, and I'm not saying just. I said being eight
Yeah.
episodes in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, see, I'm catching on, but
Wait until you hear episode 200 and how much better you're going to be. You know, it's yeah, you're going to grow. That's the one thing about a podcast too. It's an evolution machine. You're always evolving. You're always and revolution. You're going to completely flip over why you do things. You're going to try new stuff. It's not going to work. You know, bring old stuff back in. It's an amazing growth tool, and for someone who wants to get involved or help you. Here's the other thing: is like if you think you want to get into podcasting, reach out to Willie. I'm talking to you all back there who are listening, and see how you can help him because you don't have to have your own show. You know, if you're busy, okay, great. And if you want to support someone like Willie, kick a couple bucks his way. $5 a month
yeah.
goes a long way when you start to add
And
it up.
if you're a business and you want to pay for some prime sponsorship and get your business out of here, whether you're
Yeah,
local to me or you're in Nebraska, I don't care where. I mean,
Yeah.
and I finally got my first sponsor. It's Kingdom Creation. They're right out of
All right.
Lynn, Missouri. Made my shirts. I mean,
Nice.
and if you are at that point, it's okay to search it. And
Yeah.
I was told time and time again, got to believe in yourself, got to sell yourself. And I was really good with the business aspect.
Yeah.
But when it come to this new area, but I had my business for 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's like I was comfortable and I knew what I was doing. But then I come in the podcast world and I was like, my first episode, I probably said 75 times, okay?
You
And
got to
I
use
don't
your
edit.
producer DJ ear. You have to. Here's the how I fix that. I'll tell you. Everybody listening. First off, the first thing you have to be able to say is, and I know you do this, Willie, but you have to be able to listen to yourself. You have to go back and listen. And if you, because people will say to me all the time, how do I make money? I'm like, well, do you listen to your episodes? No, I can't stand my voice. Well, then why can anybody else? You have to improve the quality of your stuff, you know? If you want to make money doing podcasting, you have to be valuable. Passion's one thing, and I'm not dismissing passion. I think it's critical because if you don't care, you're not going to do the podcast, right? So that's table stakes passion, right? And now I am talking to you now, Willie. Passion is table stakes. Okay, now how do you get a stack? Well, you get professional and you do the right things every day, and you find the things that work for you. I'm telling you, don't do any post production at all if you can avoid it, right? Like this show right here, as it is, good enough, right? If you want to spend 20 minutes on post production, great, but that 20 minutes can go into something else, and you don't have enough time and money to promote and build this thing properly. So it's like building a house. You got to decide what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, what you're going to farm out, what you're just going to leave like it, all that. It's the same thing with podcasting. So you have to figure out how to make your show valuable. And
Listen,
just asking for money and that kind of thing, that ain't going to be good enough. And with what you do, talking to people in real life, man, that's powerful. Yeah, I run I run the Soul Impact show. That's what I do. And they're like, wait, tell me about that. Now you're talking about that. But forget my Soul Impact show, forget the Break It Down show. How can I help you? And then they'll say, you know what I'm looking for? And then they'll tell you the things that matter the most. And by the way, to those haters that are out there, invite them out to lunch. None of them are going to step up because they hate themselves when they hate you. You're irrelevant in their equation. So, you
see,
just
I look at the haters different. I look at the haters different. You know what? You're commenting on my stuff.
Yeah.
And used to I would comment back, but I was never hateful. But now I look at it like, you know what? You're commenting on my stuff. You're getting my algorithm up. So thank you.
Thanks for the help.
Comment on it. Tell them how. Because for one, people are going to look up and he's doing it with my podcast stuff too. But people's going to look me up. And for one, they're going to see he's utterly full of crap, for one.
Yeah.
Or he's right and they don't want to avoid my show. Either way, I'm getting views.
You got to collect haters to be successful. You have to have an anti-audience. You need those folks. That's a sign of success, man. It is.
But
it's a sign of
so
success. I love when people bring it up.
Oh,
go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. Where can someone find your podcast at?
Go to YouTube. That's the best place. YouTube, Break It Down Show, P.A. Turner. Either of those things that ought to come up. And yeah, man, just little things like subscribing and sharing. Forget about me, but for Willie, just subscribe, share, tell people about his show, and those are the big things, right? And so when people do that for me, I appreciate it. I add new subscribers all day, and I try to communicate with them, but there are a lot of people out there that subscribe and they kind of dip their toe in your pool for a little while, and then they leave and they come back, and all of a sudden you find out. It's amazing what you find out where like someone will say, "Oh, I've been listening for years. I love your stuff." And you're like, "How in the world?" Or when you get a hold of them, you're like, "Pete, you're getting a hold of me? Oh my God, I can't." I've had the most amazing things happen where people have listened to my show, or I've introduced people who needed to know each other. I mean, it's amazing all of the things that are going to happen. So if anybody out there is wanting to start a show or do anything, do it, because whether it's this or playing an instrument or learning how to swim, whatever it is, go do that thing. And then if you
just
quit,
do it.
It's all right. There's more things to do.
Yeah, not to rip off Nike, but just do it. I mean,
yeah, Just do it.
That's what I was told when I went to Bubba. I was like, he's like, Willie, just do it. I was like, I don't know where to go.
Quit,
I mean,
quit yakking about it and get to getting. Right? I
and
mean, that's
he,
simple
he
as that.
gave me pointers, but you got to be able to, no matter what you do, take positive criticism.
Sure.
You
Sure.
know, and that's what I've learned. And I've had the same thing. I got 8 episodes out, and I have people that have been following me from day one. And one of them messaged me this morning and be like, "I saw your episode last week. One of the best ones that you've done. Great
Mm-hmm.
job. You know, you're not fumbling on your words as bad, or you're not saying 75 times in 5 minutes."
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah, I
that's
was going
one
to tell you
thing.
how to fix that. You have to listen to yourself, and then when you're talking, you have to be slow enough that you can hear what you're saying in advance, so you don't put words like in there. Now, sometimes I'll throw like in there, but it's all by design. So I'll say something, and I might think for a second, but if you can just shut up and go, here's what I'm curious about, and let that get comfortable with silence, man, that'll fix everything. But you have to be able to hear yourself talking to be able to fix that. And I want to fix one more thing about your show, Willie. This is just Pete being the director now, right? You got to get your camera above eye level. You can't shoot it from down below like that. It's not as aesthetically pleasing, and
Well,
it takes away from people's belief in you. So, get your camera above eye level, and then find like the backyard's probably going to have some great angle. I'm not that worried about the back of the shot, but I want your camera higher up so that you're not looking down in it like that, and we're not looking up your nose. And that's already an
well,
improvement.
I will
You'll
have to
see
work on that.
instantly. Yeah, you'll fix it. You'll fix it. Look, just find a way to make your
Because
camera
right
higher.
now
Put some books
I'm
on it.
using a laptop right now. I'm
Yeah,
using a
yeah, we'll
laptop
fix that.
camera right now.
Get a good camera, or get your laptop higher. Put your laptop higher up.
Well, I'll
Look at
definitely have
it.
to work on that.
I can't change it. I'm not going to mess with it. Anyhow, I don't want to. That's the only thing I'm going to say is learn
So,
to listen to yourself live, and learn how to make construct a better shot, because that's what professional stuff happens, and it makes your show better. And once you fix that shot, you don't got to fix it again. It'll just always be good.
oh yeah, I appreciate it. I really do, because I never thought about that. I mean, my thing is, I'm on a limited cord, so I have to be careful because
Yeah, I'm not
I
saying
did.
10 feet up in the air. I'm just saying a little higher.
Yeah. I get what you're
Go
saying.
go
So,
from this to this up here, looking up like that. I just moved my whole camera setup and everything, but yeah, that's what you need to do. Just a little bit more altitude with your laptop.
yeah, and I figured, like I said, I started this late July, late June. I've only really been in the podcast 2 months,
Okay,
but
that's good.
I do have an interface, but I'm not quite figured out how to use it yet.
Yeah, you
So
will. All that's coming.
once I get the interface figured out, it'll be a whole lot easier, because then I'll have my laptop can be way back here, up high, wherever it needs to be, and I can have my interface right here. So I'm
Yeah,
working on all that,
I'm sure
but
you
I
are.
couldn't figure out how to get the sound and all that to jive. But
Yeah,
buddy, I'm gonna wrap this up. I appreciate you being on the show today. Yeah, any final last minute thoughts?
yeah. Music can change your life. It's you find what you like and explore from there. You and I talked about symphony, and that wasn't your jam, but imagine. And it used to be that you listened to a whole album, right? Like you sat down and maybe you got up to flip the record over, and they were designed, a lot of them, for that experience. We've gotten away from that. One of the best things you can do is go to a symphony, because you're not going to go anywhere. Your phone is going to be in your pocket, shut off, and you just allow that genius of music making, whose music is still relevant today. Allow that person, and I'm saying symphony, right? But whatever. Just go enjoy, have the best musicians in that area who all gather around and play this stuff professionally. There's so many great things to go out and see. Go see live music. Go see live music. And if it's punk, great. If it's classical, great. But just go see live music and allow it to do its job, because we're built to receive it. So go receive it.
And on that note, that's the perfect way to end. Look forward to seeing y'all next week. And again, I want to thank you so much, Pete, for coming on. It has been very insightful. If you will, send me the link to your YouTube. And when I do, I will do my description. I'll put your description in there for you.
You
Uh,
got it.
and I will let you know when it's aired out so you can share it on your networks or whatever you do. I do ask that you share the footage that you're on just to help me and help you out.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. You got it. I will do that very thing. I'm going to send you the link to my podcast.